Welcome everyone. Today we're going to talk about underwriting, AI underwriting. And the topic of the talk is about how to underwrite 10x faster. And that is not a hyperbole. We actually mean how to underwrite 10x faster. So yesterday I was actually on a really good underwriting call with a great customer, and he said because their syndications are doing well and they are doubling down on raising more money this year, and they have all these deals coming into their inbox every day, and they have like 10 deals sometimes on a daily basis or 10 deals a week. If they spend about call it an hour on each deal to just set it up over the course of a week, that's 50 deals. That's basically their working hours. And they only have 2 business partners that is doing everything, right? And so there's a little bit of a FOMO effect that they feel like they're missing out on the deals that they did not take a look. But if they're spending an hour each deal, then that's basically the entire week gone. So the question is, what if they can spend 5 minutes on each deal? In that case, every day it's only close to 50 minutes each deal. And then over the course of a week, that's only about 5 hours. So the light bulb goes in my head that is 60 minutes down to 6 minutes, which is literally 10x faster. So we are being very literal on our messaging that it is 10x faster. So let's go down on how do we make it 10x faster. All right, cool. So let's go into AI underwriting, and let me give you a quick peek. And then I'm going to talk about there are 2 variations of underwriting. One is using our own model, and then the other version is using the CFP model. The other version is using your model. Okay. So our model is we built the entire spreadsheet that's embedded. This is what that looks like. This is what the unit, this is what the property looks like. If you change your exit cap rate, for example, let's say if I change it to 6% as opposed to 6.5%, then this IRR will immediately jump to 15%. If I change it back to 6.5, the IRR will jump to 13%. And on here, it will say save, save, save. Okay. You can look at the unit mix. This is what the unit mix looks like. This is what the income looks like. You have the economic vacancy, you have the other income, you have the rental income, you have all the projections. This is what the expense looks like. You have every line item of the expenses. You have the year-over-year growth, you have the property tax, you have the projections. Then you have the closing costs, the CapEx, and the finance and uses. Okay. There are a lot of things you can do with it, but I'll skim through it, talk about the big picture, and then come back to the little things. All right. So that is what our spreadsheet looks like. Now, we introduce a new variation called export with my own spreadsheet. And the way that works is that you get to keep your existing spreadsheet. We will populate your spreadsheet with the live data. Okay. And this is only using your spreadsheet. The way it works is that you'll share your underwriting spreadsheet with us, whether that is your own proprietary spreadsheet or a mentorship spreadsheet. We can take it. So we will custom encode your model logics. This requires a one-time setup, and it's going to take about 2 weeks to turn it around. We have encoded your spreadsheet at this point, and the price is $199 per month, which is basically it's a one-time encoding, and this gives you 1 seat. And you only need 1 seat because you're using your own spreadsheet, because that's your Google spreadsheet. And the encoding starts once the payment is received. And so that's the way to do with your own spreadsheet. Okay. Then you might okay, you have 2 models. Why do you have 2 models? What are the pros and cons of each model? So let's talk about those. All right. So let me go into here. And that is we are listening to our customers, and we also want to know what is best for your scenario. So there are 2 choices. One choice is to use the cash flow portal underwriting model. Okay. If you use that model, the pros are it's got institutional grade waterfalls. So one of the things we have seen that your models cannot do is, for example, a customer came to us and they say, I have a class A1 that is a 6% preferred return. Class A2, that's a 7% preferred return. Class GP investments that's not subject to any waterfall. They're not, because they're their own investments. They make it that way. And I look at their spreadsheet and I say, it doesn't seem like in your spreadsheet you can differentiate between A1, A2, and GP investments. They said that's true, which is classify everyone as a A2 return. So the numbers you came up with when you like pitching that deal is actually not the most accurate deal. Because there's no way that, like, very difficult to make your spreadsheet to account for class A1, A2 preferred return, your own class investments plus a preferred equity. So we are applying for a patent on our distribution engine. We have distributed close to $1 billion right now on the waterfalls using our own waterfall. And this is through ACH. This is not even accounting for the wire transfers. So close to $1 billion on the ACH payments. So we know our waterfalls work. And so with the CFP model, you get institutional grade waterfalls. You can do all kinds of fancy stuff. You can have a preferred partner. You can have a mezzanine debt. You can have like refinance in third year and so on. That's the one benefit of the CFP model. The second benefit is that you can, with a one click, you can create a webinar deck. And you can edit the webinar deck. It's basically a PowerPoint presentation at the end. The third one is AI chat to ask questions. I will demonstrate that in a second. Actually, I can demonstrate that right now. Let me see. So let me actually quit this thing. Let me see. What's the best way to quit? Okay, great, cool. All right, let me show you what AI chat looks like. So I'm gonna go into here, and then I'm gonna go into North Haven Terrace, and I'm gonna click on AI Assistant. Okay, and then I'm gonna say how many units are there, like that. Okay, and it will load the underwriting model, and it will tell you analyzing your details. There are 209 units. So if I go to unit mix, there are exactly 209 units. And then I said, okay, can you break it down? Can you break it down by unit type, like that? Okay, and then wait for it. And then it will say, wait for it, this using ChatGPT and Claude in the backend. 29 of 1 by 1 is exactly right. 5 of this one, 89, 26, 40, 7, 11, 1, 1. That's really cool. Can you, what is the exit cap rate, and is that reasonable in that area? And by the way, our engineers don't know that much about underwriting. They don't come from a multifamily world. And they are telling me that they are nerding about underwriting by using this thing. They're like, I got so much better on underwriting by like using this chat, because like they just ask questions. And so the exit cap rate is 6.5. And if I look at property here, it is 6.5. And then you can say, based on the assumptions used, you are using conservative because the market cap is 6% and you're adding 50 basis points. And so that is pretty reasonable. And the reason that Cashflow Portal can do that and your spreadsheet cannot do that is we try to upload one of those spreadsheets onto Claude, but it's not structured data. It doesn't have a schema. It doesn't know. Let me show you a typical spreadsheet. This is a typical spreadsheet. I mean, this is my spreadsheet. Like, you show them this spreadsheet and they have no idea that this cell K8 refers to the 1 times 1 unit. They have no idea that these are the math. But when we show them, when we pass this data into Claude, we pass in a schema. Like, this is what that means. This is what that means. And so with that context, they can do all kinds of things. And then we can also read your pitch deck. We can read your survey. That's in the future. We cannot do that right now, but in the future, we can read your survey. We can read about any CoStar reports. And that is just a machine that you can talk to. Like, that's what I always want to be. And finally, we have arrived where it's a entire like organism that you can start talking to it. Okay. All right. So that is not a microblog. This is the Sumrock spreadsheet, but we have seen every spreadsheet at this point. Okay. Okay. There's a question. Let me go through some question. Is there quantitative data? AI? Yes. So tell me about the market and what are the like the median household income. Okay. Okay, so next step. Now, if you pass this spreadsheet to Claude, they have no idea how to read this thing. Okay. So the location is Decatur, Georgia. The reason that is that case, if you go to pitch deck and you go to overview, the address that I put in is here because I upload a separate OM. Okay. The metro area has 6.2 people. The local demand 36% home growth. And then you can like put median household income for the 3-mile radius. Isn't that beautiful? And guess what? These numbers come from your OM. So we're not doing anything magical. You parse the OM, we pass it into ChatGPT, so as you can see, Claude actually doesn't have the median household income in the current due data. And then there is the AS table as I have no idea what that is. So that's something we may have to become better at. Okay. Yeah. So there's that. All right, cool. So that is, they can 100% do quality data. Now, let me show you what the webinar deck looks like. So here, when you upload your OM, we'll extract all the photos out of your OM. We have the table of contents. We have the assets. And then this roof, foundation, plumbing is automatically getting fetched. The market overview is getting summarized. Economy and employers are getting summarized. The financials are getting summarized. And so if the waterfall, so in this case, I have this waterfall. I have a preferred equity that's earning a 6%, then class A doing a 7%, 70-30 split. Then refinance is preferred equity gets their 100% money back. Preferred equity earns a 12%. Then class A gets their 100% money back, 70-30 until a 15 split, 50-50. That results in a 13% IRR for the class A, not for the preferred equity. For the sake of argument, if I go into the waterfall now, and I don't want to use the preferred equity, I just want to do the straight split. I change it to straight split. My IRR changes to 11%. I go back to my pitch deck and I download the financial and click on the waterfall, and all of that gets changed. You don't have to repeat what you did on the spreadsheet to the webinar deck. It's a click of a button to generate the same information. They are always in sync. Okay, so then if I click on this generate, this takes about a minute. It will generate it, and then I can open up. It becomes a PowerPoint presentation deck. Okay, so wait for it, and let me just go to the Google Doc here, and then I just download it, and then I'm gonna drag and drop this thing. I just drag and drop it into this page so that you guys can read. So I can open it. Okay. So this is the PowerPoint presentation. Wait for it. Wait until it finishes uploading. Great. So this is what that looks like. Again, you can edit it afterwards. This is just a PowerPoint presentation, and you can do whatever you like on this one. Okay. So you can see the images. Now, the images from the OM are very low resolution. So you want to replace these images, right? So there is the kind of the nearby attractions. There is the nearby employees. There is the Atlanta map. There is kind of the rent comparables. And so there is the operating agreement. And then there is the waterfall. So non-liquidation event and so on. And then there's the projection. And then there's the sensitivity analysis. So there's that. Okay. All right. Kanji also, Kanwachi also asked, is there 2-minute underwriting? So there is a 2-minute underwriting. All you do is you upload your rent roll and your T12. Everything will be fixed, and all you have to look at is the property. That's the sources and uses. You don't have to change any of the modeling because they have been predetermined. There's like a template that you can use. The numbers are all being tracked. So to give you an example, if I click on the template library, you can say, I want to use the Dallas, Texas Class B expenses. These are all the expenses I want. And this gets really complicated. These are all the numbers I want for the expenses. And for the property tax, I want to use 1.6% of the price. And then for some of them, I want to say same as T12, which is, I don't really know what to use for water and sewage. So just use whatever the T12 gives me. So you can predefine these templates. And then when you parse your T12, it will automatically default to a specific expense pro forma template. Similarly, you can use a default distribution waterfall, closing costs, CapEx, finance. So you can create as many templates as you like. And then when you parse your T12 and enroll, it just automatically use these templates. Okay, so that's what that looks like from a template perspective. So it's less than 2 minutes actually. You just upload your T12 and enroll, and then voila, that's your basic assumptions. If it doesn't look good, then you can archive it and you no longer need to look at it. All right, so let me go back to here. Let me go back to this one. Cool. So we took a big detour to talk about AI chat to ask questions. That's one of the pros of using a CFP model. Okay. All right. If you have more questions, ask more in the message there. The next thing that is powerful about the CFP model is that it requires one click to turn that into equity raising. So this is not something that have been implemented yet. It will be implemented by end of this quarter, which is we have a lot of customers now that started with underwriting, and they start with underwriting and they're like, this is so cool. This is like the best thing I've ever seen. And then they got the deal. LOI got signed and they're super excited. So can I change this now into like casual portal deal? And I said, well, not yet. Very soon, you can click a button to say, hey, I already underwrote the waterfall on my underwriting thing. Can you just use the same waterfall for the actual equity raise? That's coming. It's a click because it's using the same data structure underneath the hood. So that's coming. That's another benefit. The last thing I also want to say is the most powerful part about using CFP model is actually the ability to compare your actuals versus your projections. All of us have some kind of spreadsheet that have the pro forma for year one. That's what we tell the investors. We take over the property on the day that we sign the PSA or the day that we close. You start executing your business plan. 3 months later, you spend X money in CapEx, you spend X money in your signage and your leasing office and so on. And you have the numbers, there are the income and expenses coming in from Appfolio and Restman and Yardi, and you have no idea how those numbers are in track or on track or not on track to meet your first year pro forma. The way you do that is you create a different spreadsheet. You take the number that's year one, divide that by 12, that's your NOI. Then every month you take the T12 on Restman and you compare that number against what you projected. If that sounds familiar to you, congratulations, you are a responsible GP. That's exactly what we did. Every month, every week we did that. In fact, but like there's no way I know, am I on track? Am I not on track? There's always the fear that like on the first year anniversary of my syndication, I found out we cannot distribute the 4% or 3% that we quote unquote promised the investors. And that's a loss of trust. That's loss of like, you're not really a good planner. That's a loss of like, and you don't even know how the property is really doing. You could do all of that work. And your best bet is, do you want to spend that time on looking for new deals, or do you want to spend that time hiring a asset manager? And if you are 2 or 3 people person team, there's no way you'll have enough money to hire a asset manager. And the asset manager requires a lot of training. They don't really know what they're doing either. And the problems go on and on. So that's a very real problem. And the way we solve that is the following. Let me go back here. The way we solve that is you go to here, you go to dashboard, you go into Bellevue Square, and then you click on this thing called KPIs. We're going to turn that into a feature module called asset management. So in the future, it will call asset management. You click on that, that's your entire pro forma. If you click on the import, you can actually import any T12 and it will pre-populate all the T12. And so then you can really compare the actual versus the pro forma. This will become a lot more advanced where you can automatically upload the T12. It will like basically you can send a report and then we will automatically parse it and then we'll automatically create the comparison charts. So that is where the actual and the pro forma kind of come together. The goal is that you will be a lot more operationally excellent when you are doing it this way. Okay. Some of the GPs actually tell us this. They say, hey, I have a deal already. I have a deal that I already bought, and I bought it 2 years ago. And I want to see like what refinance looks like. I want to see like if going forward, are we on track? Are we like if we sell it now, how much are we worth and so on. You can also use the CFP model for that underwriting, for that kind of underwriting. There's one more thing. Some of you are doing fund of funds. So one of my friends just invests into a lending deal, a preferred equity deal, where they get a 12% fixed return. And so I look at this thing, and so what in that world, you don't have to upload any Renroll and T12. All you have to do is you you don't even need to put any of the unit mix. You go into the income, and then you just plug in the income that the sponsors gives you. So you're a fund of fund manager, and your income is quote unquote kind of the if you're investing into like a preferred equity deal, your income is whatever they say on their OM, right? Their not brokerage OM, their pitch deck. And then so this is the income, and then I don't care about any of the other income because that's my income, right? And then the expenses, you just plug in whatever their expenses. So I just have one single expenses that encapsulates everything. And then every year they can plug it in. So they don't need to use the year over year total. They can just plug in the expenses. Then they go into like closing costs. So if I go into the closing costs here, and so the closing costs is whatever closing costs, and then the finance and uses is where they put in the debt. Okay, so the debt here is actually more like I think this is more like 9 million actually. So because they're gonna refinance this thing, 9 million. And so when you do all of that, the IRR is about 10%, 11%. That's including the current LPs, and because they're investing into a first position, which is like the preferred equity. This is a no-brainer. They're like, I don't think there's any chance I can lose my money if I invest into this deal. And I approve. I'm like, yeah, there's almost no way you can lose your money. Knock on wood. Hopefully this deal doesn't go down in history as the one that loses money. But like a LP, which is a friend of mine, is using this to underwrite a preferred equity deal as a LP. And we have seen fund of fund managers are underwriting using our spreadsheet on like what they could potentially earn. And good news is that if you're doing a flexible fund, you have this kind of underwriting projections. So you have this liquidation event and so on and so forth. With a click of a button, you can move that waterfall from here onto your actual deal, as opposed to replicating the same data, which is not exactly aligning with your spreadsheet. So there's that. Okay, so let me go back here. I spent too much time on the CFP model because in my heart of hearts, I can tell you the honest answer. The CFP model will eventually become like the the TurboTax of underwriting. That becomes the standard, and nobody will question like, hey, is this math correct? I'm just like, try it. Like, it's correct. And hundreds of people are using it, so it better be correct because there's that. The price of the CFP model underwriting starts at $79 per month. Now let's talk about your model, because that is something that some people want. I do want to give credit if you want your model. Okay. Any questions up to this point, you can put in the chat. I hope everything I said kind of makes sense. I spent a lot of time almost selling you on the CFP model because I do feel very passionate about that. The future is so much easier if you have the data that goes from the beginning until the very end. Literally going from the moment that you get to know about the asset to the moment that you even sell the asset. So there's that. Okay. Put your questions here. Let me know if what I said makes sense. But let's talk about your model. Okay. The pros of using your model is that this is a spreadsheet that you're familiar with, and that's really important. There is muscle memory with the Excel shortcuts. And one of the problems that when our customer tried to use our spreadsheet like a year ago, it was not in the spreadsheet format. So they're trying to move their mouse. They're like, this is really, really hard to use. This is like a bunch of HTML thing. I don't know how to use this. And my spreadsheet, I created it. There's a little bit also about you created that spreadsheet. That spreadsheet belonged to you, or you add a tab with all kinds of metrics, and you're so used to seeing that cell on that tab, and that is something that familiarity use a little bit more, more willingness to do underwriting. So fair point. The next one is the pro of using your model is that your coach or your CEO, if you are investor, if you are like an underwriting analyst, may prefer their own model. And that's the biggest flaw we are running into right now, where some analysts, they're software engineer by training, they really like our model. And they just keep saying like, my coach wants to review it on his spreadsheet. There's nothing I can do. And I set up a call with their coach, and then their coach is like, okay, I'm convinced I need to use your model. But until then, there's almost nothing I can do about it. If your coach wants their own spreadsheet, you basically can export it, and then you can export it into your own spreadsheet. So that is something we will provide as that functionality. And next one is you may have some custom visualizations that you want to check. So, or custom ways of underwriting. So, for example, one of our customers have this very particular way of underwriting. And they, in that case, I said, this is not a good fit yet. Where they are doing this for every single unit, not unit type, every single unit, they track when that unit gets expired. They track how much premiums there are to that unit. And then they have a lookup table. So if I add a splash countertop, I can charge $10 extra. If I add this thing, I can charge $15 extra. And I also want to like just fix the rent for that unit. I'm like, that is just a very meticulous way of underwriting. I don't always agree with that way of underwriting. But if that's what you want, I mean, there's nothing we can do. There's like, okay, good luck. And in that world, they still want the ability to basically take the rent roll, take the T12, and then dump it into their spreadsheet with a click of a button. So in that world, you will choose your model because your model is quote unquote more advanced than what most people want. So there's that. And it's your model underwriting starts at $199 per month. That's because that involves a little bit manual work on our part, that we have to encode your model. We have to understand your model. We have to know what parts of your model, what have you added, and so on. So that starts at the higher level. In both cases, you have the commonalities, which is we can parse your rent roll, we can parse your T12, you can generate the unit mix, you can generate the expenses, and then we can also parse the OM and then save it to your model, unlike the plumbing, the roof, the address, the zip code, and so on and so forth. All of that. If you use your model, we can look at your model and then we can parse it because we have the information. We just need to know where on your cell, where on your spreadsheet are those numbers located. Okay, so that is on the your model and cash flow portal model. Any questions up to this point? Mm-hmm. I will give folks a couple minutes to type in, anything you want to put in there. Yeah, great. Cool. All right, Ray asks, please let me know the summary. CFP enables 10x speed perform via fine. Syndicator upload T12 rental and OM. CFP generate underwrite, including the waterfall. CFP generate investor data. Yeah, that is correct. Yeah. The only thing syndicator needs to do is upload the T12 and the rent roll, and the OM doesn't need to be uploaded to get the model. OM is just kind of like nice to have. OM is needed though for generate the pitch deck, because we extract the photos from the OM. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Cool. And So another thing that is really cool about our model is the following. Let's say this is a 10% cash IRR, right? And this is the preferred equity. But let me go into the waterfall, and then let me just go into this is another deal. Let me go into my deal, and then this is the class A, 12% IRR. Cool. Let's say you want to do a refinance. So I can go to finance and uses. By the way, one of the tricks is that you can click on this thing where that collapses the left menu. So you have the whole window if you want to work on your spreadsheet there. And I can click on this thing, which is without refinance. And I can make refinance the active scenario. If I do this refinance, the IRR becomes 14%. And I can easily see the projection shows a 14% IRR because if I scroll down, it will say on the third year, I will refinance. And this is my finance proceeds, which is really, really cool, right? And then if I turn that off, if I go to finance and uses, and I turn to the other one that's without the refinance, the IRR drops down to 11%. And now if I go to projections, you can see that on the third year, there's no more refinance and sales proceeds. Again, this is because we have the entire waterfall model built in. Okay. All right, let's answer some more questions. Can the system show the sources where the information is put to verify accuracy, such as rent comps and sales comps and so on? Yeah, great question. On the rent comps, we use apartments.com to do that. And so this drags that's this there. And then if you click on filter and then you do like 2 units, 1.5 bedroom, and so this is filtered down to the 2 and the 1, and you're like, hey, I don't believe this canopy is renting for that much. All you have to do is you can check out Zillow to see if it's renting for that much. So again, we don't tell you the whether this is 100% correct, but you do have to check it, using your own method. So in this case, 1 bedroom is 1,500. This is 150, 600 square feet. So all of these are 900 square feet. Oh, this is 1 bedroom. So if I do 1 bedroom and 1 and 1, okay. So if I search for canopy 600, 1536 is what we have, right? 1536, and they have 1595. Close enough. It's not bad. It's not bad. Again, we're not claiming we are CoStar. That you have to pay enormous amount to get accurate data, right? We are claiming that we are a tool that can easily access information very quickly. If you do have CoStar comps, you can upload a comp, and then you can upload your CoStar report, and then we'll fetch it into this format, and you can do all kinds of parsing, and then again, that will automatically flow into the webinar deck, which is really, really nice. So we can parse a CoStar report, but we don't claim we are as accurate as CoStar when it comes to the rent comps. I hope that makes sense. Great. The next question is the pitch deck available on the basic package. Currently they are available on all packages. So there's that. All right, cool. Next question, R asks, is there a way to see deal level returns versus LP? Yes. So if you go to the modeling, you click on CF model. And if you scroll down, this is the deal level return. So these are the cash and cash for the deal level. And then this is the yield, debt yield for the deal level. And then this is the return at the deal level. That's R. Okay. And then if you go into modeling and then click on projection, this is on the LP level, if that makes sense. Okay. Now, should we put some of the deal level on the LP level? We probably should, just so that you can compare them. That's a good feature request. Yeah. All right, cool. I see. So Catherine, actually, question. Okay, got it. So Catherine is asking, do you have a spreadsheet? Like, can you show me the numbers? So yeah, so if you go into, say, here, we show you the formulas being used. We do, yeah. So you can like trace back if you want to. Like some of these, we show you the formulas here. Okay. So yeah, it's basically a spreadsheet living embedded into our software. Yeah. So there's that. So give a swing. I will caution folks though, when you start using our underwriting software, people are, it does require a little bit of a mental shift. So what does it mean? So So for example, like sometimes this bad debt recovery, and you're like, bad debt recovery, that doesn't seem like other income. That makes no sense to be a like other income. You have two choices. You can delete this row, but there's that. Or technically, we could have done a better job because you have to go to data sources, click on T12, and then the reason that was classified as other income is that on this T12, it's considered as under the other income section. So that is under other income. And so if you double click on this, and this is actually called bad debt, because bad debt is economic vacancy. Recovery is technically also economic vacancy, but on this spreadsheet, on this particular T12, it's classified as other income, so I call it other income. So if I change it to bad debt, okay, I change this to bad debt, which is also income. Now, if I go to my income, that row will have disappeared. You see, there's no more bad debt. It will just automatically be updated. But like, there's a little bit of a, gotcha, or like, this is kind of unintuitive use. I didn't know that in order to change this, I need to go back to my source. So it does require a little bit of a training, and we will add like kind of better verbiage that like, and thank you for the customers that point out that like, hey, this is not very intuitive. Whereas this number, this economic vacancy number, these numbers like this, like gross potential rent, that's actually coming from the unit mix. So some of this is coming from the unit mix, some of this is coming from the T12, and sometimes people don't know what they're referring to. So it does require, so you can count that as one of the cons of using CFP model, which is think of our model as Excel. People like to say this. There's a joke that PowerPoint presentations, I'm in Seattle, so I know a lot about Microsoft. PowerPoint presentations are built for people that use it once a quarter, once a semester to do their presentations. And so they need to build with very superficially. They need to cater to everyone. The way that Excel is built, the engineering team in Microsoft in Excel, the mantra of Excel is we are building it for very selected few that need Excel for their livelihood. So PowerPoint presentations are built for people that just want to get by once a semester. Excel is something they're using it every single day. So they have a different ways of building things. And so with Excel and with underwriting, I will say it requires you at least 2 to 5 hours to learn the thing. And if you give up before the 5 hours, you haven't given it enough chance. How many hours have you spent on Excel before you get it? It's just that you started 10 years ago, so like it's like riding a bicycle, you know how it works. But I don't think you get Excel on the first day. You just never remember the time you spent on Excel. So there's that. Okay. All right, next question. Ming asks, can we use this underwrite to actively track actual versus budget on different industries before? Yes, you can, because all we care about is T12. That's exactly what we built for. And so if you go into assumptions, if you go to property, and then if I made this thing to be like, this is angel investment, but if I made this thing to be, say, ground up development, or I made this into ground up development, you can see here at the bottom, this thing changes to construction. Isn't that cool? Yeah. So like if you change this to ground up development, we have custom tabs that cater to that particular asset type. And if you do build to rent, this is also called construction. If you, this is really cool. I didn't know this gets done. Really good job, team. If I go into like multifamily, this will go back to CapEx. Yeah. So you can use it for construction now. Okay, so based on which asset type you use. Okay, Marine, yeah, this webinar will be recorded. It will be sent out in a week or so. Okay. All right, so we are at 43-minute mark. Okay. Any questions on underwriting? And then at the end, I want to take some time to talk a little bit about the new product, and I also want to ask the customers a very interesting incentive question. So see if you folks are up to that. So I'm gonna switch gears a little bit and talk about one of the new products that we launched. And so there's that. Okay. So let me shift gears a little bit. Yeah. So Ray, you have a question about Sandbox. you have your free account that you do your co-sponsors and regular GP. You have one free underwriting that we do not get any features for now that you can literally play with it. And if you like it, that's where you put in your credit card. So you have a one free underwriting deal that you can underwrite. Yeah. Cool. Everyone has. So we don't be like, hey, you pay first and then the only thing you do need to pay first is that if you want to use your own model, then you have to pay because we don't want to do the work and you're like, I'm not moving forward. So there's that. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Let me switch gears a little bit and talk about banking. So we recently launched this banking, and I know a lot of you are using Chase, but let me go over some of why would you ever use cash flow portal banking. Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you, Seth. So the problems with using Chase are the following. When you are doing a ACH funding, it takes 3 to 5 business days. When you're doing a distribution, it also takes 3 to 5 business days. And also, when you're doing a funding, you could pay up to $25 per ACH funding. When you're doing a distribution, you can also pay up to $25 per distribution. By using cash flow portal banking, is $1 flat fee. So there is the savings on the funding side and on the distribution side and on the fee side. So there's that reason. So a lot of folks could still use Chase for their day-to-day operations because they can earn a high interest rate. And when it comes to distributions, they want to save money and transfer money into our station as a temporary bridge before they distribute it out. So that's on the kind of the saving side. Okay. Here, banking is one of the core things that we're doing because everything connects to banking. The GP, LP, fund admin, vendor payment, investment funding, and distributions. Why is banking so critical to our future success? I was doing the cap table for cash flow portal. And in 2021, there was a $100,000 investment into our company. And they funded $50,000 on 2021, and they funded $50,000 in 2022. So at the end of 2021, it's technically only $50,000 on the cap table. But when I export my spreadsheet, it will say this person invests $100K, and $100K is their capital balance. I will have no freaking idea, and I spent 4 hours on this thing. I could not reconcile my book, my cap table for ending of 2021. I was so frustrated that why is my cap table not aligning with my bank transactions? But once we have banking, the answer is really easy. You click on the investments, and then you click on the transactions on your bank. And you're like, oh, that's why, because there is, so it's linked. The money in your QuickBooks is no longer living in QuickBooks. The money in your cap table will be linked to our banking. So it will be linked together. Banking goes along with accounting. So along with the banking, you will get the accounting as well. Okay. Click on next. So Core Bank is the bank we partner with. They are basically like Grace Hopper Bank, which is one of those regional banks. They are pretty big. So they have comparable amounts of assets under management as Grace Hopper, which you probably a lot have heard of. And if you click on next, you'll be taken to their website to create a free account. A account takes less than 5 minutes to create, and then you can start receiving ACH money, ACH funding on the same day. So you don't have to walk into a bank to create this. It is free to use. You do have to pay a fee when you're doing LP distributions and LP funding. But when you pay your vendors, that's 100% free. So it's only the distributions, and you are paying higher amount anyway with your Chase account. Okay, so that's on the banking side. I have a following question that I would love to get some customer feedback. And by the way, if you love Chase, go for it, because if Chase is our competitor, I'm like, okay, thank you. We made it if Chase is our competitor. Chase, yes. People love Chase. I still have Chase. I'm a big private Chase client. Okay. So these are the benefits of banking. So as you can see, the benefit, as you can see, how everything comes together, right? You have the AI underwriting that you underwrite, then you use the CRM to raise money. By the way, the email that you send out, that I send out the reminder email, that's actually sent from our CRM. Like we're not using HubSpot or ActiveCampaign or Go High Level. We are using our own CRM. Yeah, and then once you raise the money, we hope that you use our banking to create an operating account that your property management company can use. And as long as there are $200,000 in that bank account or a fund of fund managers, you are gonna get free about $1,500, $2,000, $3,000, depending on how much you have, for free, like 100% free. I will check with our attorney and our banking partner whether that is interest that is taxable, whether that's a 1099 form or that's more of a rewards thing that a point. So I will check with our attorney on that. But yeah, that is something we are going forward on with the banking world. All right. I think that's pretty much it. I hope you get something out of the underwriting. Underwriting is something that is a long time coming. I'm super excited. The game changer right now is the AI assistant, and we're gonna add more features to it. We're gonna make it faster. We're gonna make it easier to navigate. So for example, you can actually do Command K. So Command K is how you get to a tab. So if I want to go to like waterfall, you can do that. And then if I do enter, there's that. I can go to the waterfall. I can do like, income, and then I can go into the income. So there is a lot of shortcuts that you can do as well. So just so you know. All right. I think that's pretty much it. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.